Hi, everyone. Carl Steinbeck here on a Friday night here in New York City. You can see behind me there, One World Trade Center facing southern Manhattan here. So just wanted to jump on tonight for a little bit and talk about current status of this fracas going on in Tallahassee, Leon County court system, where we have Donna Adelson currently without any lawyers. So she went from 3 lawyers to 0 lawyers by virtue of the order of Judge Stephen Everett, which had to happen in order to keep this thing moving down the proper train of tracks of making sure this thing didn't get busted on appeal. So this thing was no doubt headed down that course of action to get it busted on appeal due to Rashbaum's convoluted and conflicted world swirling around these multiple Adelson family members. So with him now suddenly disappearing and vanishing from representing Donna anymore, at the start of the trial, is probably one of the most bizarre things you could possibly see in a courtroom here in America. But I would say that you're going to see very more bizarre things coming up out of these cases here with the other Adelsons that haven't been arrested yet, these Florida Adelsons. So anyway, I just checked right before I got on here, and there's no notice of appearance by any attorney representing Donna. So it's really strange to have somebody sitting in a jail waiting to be tried for murder charges, and you have no trial date, no lawyers, and you've been there already 10 months. So it's quite a lengthy period here that she's just been sitting there languishing, and that's what happens when you get conflicted lawyers, and the judge lowers a boom on them. As I said, should have been done a long time ago. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on that tonight again. What I want to focus on is what the way ahead would be looking like if it was if she's there facing her, what is it, December 10th now court date. It looks like the one for this coming week here, the 15th of October, has been deferred until December 10th. So that's a long time to not have a court hearing on this. So she's got a lot of time to try to find a new lawyer, apparently. And what is she going to do, I guess, is what everyone wants to know. Where's she going to find a lawyer, and what kind of lawyer would be willing to take the case, and how much would it cost, those kind of things. So if you guys have any questions like that tonight, I'll cover them initially here. I think what you're going to be looking at is, I'd be surprised if she has a Tallahassee lawyer. I think this case has so many bad things swirling around it, and it's got all these ethical dilemmas and whatnot. I think it's just sort of not a clean case to take on as a defense attorney. And so you might be looking at somebody coming from an outside city and a larger city, perhaps, where they're more used to crazy stuff going on. I think Tallahassee, this is probably these Adelson cases are probably not the normal type of case you have where something drags on for so long. So I think that whoever they hire is going to have more than just one attorney on the case. I think they're going to want to hire more than one to share the misery, if you will. And it's not a case that they're going to be looking at as giving them good publicity on. And so I think there's so much social media outrage of this thing going on so long. I think it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be something that could really bring a lot of negative media pressure and attention to whatever defense attorney or attorneys take this case. So the other thing is, like, how much would an attorney be demanding in order to take on this case? And then, of course, the other thing is, Donna probably doesn't want to sit in the prison for a year and a half or 2 years, what it would take these attorneys to get up to speed on the case for. So I think it's really going to be mentally really draining for her. It's going to be really hard on her, and she's going to age that much faster the longer this thing takes to get to a trial date. And even if you do have a trial date, think about what Rashbaum did. He extended his trial date out. He asked for a request when Judge Wheeler granted it without even really asking for any details of why. And so in any event, is Donna going to want attorneys that are going to be rushed and ready to go? At least are they going to say they're going to be ready to go, and they get a big retainer fee of 1.5 million or something, and then they're scrambling to be ready for a trial date? And so is it possible you could get an attorney in there that's going to take it and say they'll be ready in 6 months? I think if you got a lot of money online, I think there could be a lot of attorneys that are eager to get that kind of a paycheck, a payday. And so it is possible, but I think a more conservative lawyer is not going to want to rush this thing. They're going to take their time to develop evidence. to counter the prosecutions. And that being said, there's not really a whole lot they can do to counter the kind of evidence that the state has, which is forensic type evidence. Donna's own words, whether it's spoken words over a telephone or written words through an email, and text messages, things of that nature. Those kind of things are really damning for her, and it's going to be doing her in. So, with that, we don't have a lot to work for then as a defense attorney looking at this case. And so, what you're going to wind up doing is realizing you don't have a lot to have for counterfire against the prosecution's case, and it's pretty much one of these deals where is the defense attorney going to level with her and say, look, you really ought to consider a plea agreement. This is something that there's no way Rashbaum could have done, we know, because the ethical rules prevent him from having that kind of conversation with Donna, and he also was prevented from doing that with Charlie when he's representing Charlie, because Charlie couldn't roll over on Donna. So that is pretty much assured that conversation never took place. And so right there, you have Charlie Adelson having a situation where he was never giving unfettered, conflict-free advice as well, and I expect that to be mentioned in the briefs, which are due on the 18th. So this week we're going to see the appellate briefs filed by Upperman, Charlie Adelson's appellate lawyer. So I think that's going to be one of the front and center things that they're looking to bust this case on is Rashbaum was conflicted. So basically, Rashbaum is going to derail two cases, all because he never got off the case, and because nobody else saw this coming and did proper due diligence, and basically boot him off the case. But at least we finally had the judge looking at the law and looking at what a serious disaster this is for any appellate court, just to basically bounce it out of their hands and say, you're going back to trial level, and you're going to get some conflict-free counsel here. So anyway, I think if any of you guys have any questions about how the conflicts of laws work here generally in America, as I've said, the conflicts laws follow the ABA standards of model rules of professional responsibility. We don't call them ethical rules. We call them rules of professional responsibility across the different states. And so that's what they're talking about. We follow the American Bar Association model ones, and they're always doing some tweaks for them over the years. But over the course of many years, they pretty much always stay the same across all states. So in any event, that's why this thing is really bizarre, that she now went from 3 to 0 lawyers, and she's got to scramble to find somebody, and who's going to want to come see her in jail and knowing about this case. There's probably been a few folks, I believe I heard some scuttlebutt about that. There was a few folks looking to take on at least an interview with her. But the other thing is, like, dealing with a client like Donna. I mean, she can be so demanding and so hard as a defense lawyer, and you're meeting her in the jail, and she's been there 10 months, and she's basically having to start all the way over again. And if you got a conflicted lawyer filing the motions on her behalf, I mean, think about this is going to bog down the court as well, because non-conflict-free lawyers probably going to say, I don't want to look at anything that Rashbaum filed. I'm going to start from scratch. I don't want to have anything clouding the record that things I'm handling. So I would probably seek permission from the judge to just have a clean slate. All these previous rulings, none of them are going to be binding and being held against me as a new lawyer if I was in that situation. So I think what we're looking at is everything has to be done all over again. All new motions hearings, all new rulings. They're going to have new, maybe there'll be some different kind of motions that come up. We'll have different witnesses testify. Maybe we'll have to go through that whole rigmarole with Sergeant Corbett explaining how he derived his report and came to the conclusions he did. So that's what you do when you don't get rid of conflicted counsel. You're going to be stuck with a lot of redos and a lot of heartache to deal with. So yeah, I think Gladys, you're saying she must be furious right now. I would say it's probably sinking in every day more and more how basically this last 10 months that she paid Rashbaum big bucks for, it was just complete nothing but a waste of time. Absolute waste of time. So and nobody's addressing this issue with Charlie's case as well. So that's what happens. And you don't do it right, you get busted on appeal. So it takes 10 years, 9 to 10 years to get any of these Adelsons prosecuted, and then you wind up having this thing starting over, at least in Donna's case. And there's a good chance that, as I said, that this is going to be something that Charlie's case get busted too. And then would the state do what I've been saying all along, which is try all of them together? Who knows? But my mouse is not working tonight, so let's see, I'm gonna have to scroll with my keypad here, my MacBook Air, and it's not always working for some reason. So let me try. Godzilla Man, you're saying maybe she prefers jail to prison. Well, there's different pros and cons of jail versus prison. I'm not going to go into all that tonight, but jail is more of a transitory type place. They don't have, you can't get a degree there. You're not going to be able to have anything that you're really doing stuff to keep your mind active like you can in a prison. But of course, prison is more dangerous. There's more types of threats there. So I don't, neither one of them is a good place. I would say jail tends to be louder than a prison from what I've seen. There's more, there's a lot of overcrowding in a lot of jails. And so it's a lot of tensions there. It's a very stressful environment and a loud environment, and it does wear on you mentally. So if Donna has to spend another 2 years there, I mean, you're talking about more chance of mental breakdown. Kendall B, you're asking why wasn't the conflict of interest issue in Donna Adelson's trial resolved sooner? Well, I think the reason being, I don't think these attorneys ever stopped to think about what the consequences were by having Rashbaum on there from a constitutional law perspective, and how this is basically reversible error. And so if nobody understands how serious this was from the Constitution, just look at the order from Judge Everett. It's the one that I had cited a couple weeks prior to his order. It's the Week versus United States. It's a 1988 Supreme Court case where the Supreme Court held the judge denying somebody trying to pick their lawyer of choice who had a conflict with another co-defendant on a multiple co-defendant drug dealing case, and that gave the authority for Judge Everett to bounce these 3 lawyers that were representing Donna. So it's that's why it wasn't resolved sooner, because no one recognized it, and it never was treated as a serious issue, and that's what's really surprising. Julie Nielsen, you're asking, does Donna have a time limit to get defense lawyers? Well, that's the thing. I mean, if she can't find them and she's just sort of languishing there, the court would have a hearing or something to find out at least what's going on. That's why I'm surprised we're waiting until December 10th. I guess the judge thinks that she's going to find somebody rather quickly. But if she's having trouble finding a lawyer, I think she would not qualify for a public defender. I mean, so you're just going to basically let her sit there and not have any interest in getting some kind of insight on what's going on and what's the timeline. So that's why I was surprised that the judge isn't having like a weekly hearing on seeing what exactly is her status on getting a lawyer. Because without lawyers, I mean, unless she says she doesn't want to hire a lawyer, then you can't set a trial date. You can't set these other conference hearings and really have any chance of getting much accomplished. Glass half full, you're asking, what are the chances that Charlie wins his appeal due to a conflict of interest, given Rashbaum was Donna and Harvey's lawyer initially? Yeah, I mean, I think I said that it could be as high as 90%, and or 100%. I don't really know how the courts there will look at it, but I can tell you it's a serious issue, and I think there's a high probability Charles will get busted as well. So it's sad to see, and I'm not trying to help the defense by saying this, and I think the appellate lawyer for Charlie knows exactly what how this can be the main point that can reverse the case. And of course, if he gets retried because it got reversed, Charlie's case is going to be a slam dunk. And I think it's going to be one of these deals where I think in the end they would have wished they would just have tried all these Adelsons together, these Florida Adelsons together. All right. Bugs Bunny's brother says, "How can Donna find quote unquote a new lawyer without the use of a computer? I mean, I feel no pity for her, but how can she find one while in jail?" Yeah, I think based on what she can send out for emails, I mean, that'd be a hard thing to do. Try to send out an email to lawyers while you're in jail there and try to get somebody to come in and see you. What if they're not in Tallahassee? Somebody driving a long distance to see you that they're just basing it off an email and all that. It sounds like it's a difficult process. So that's why I think Harvey needs to be the one that's going to be doing that. It's calling around and looking to help Donna that way. So I don't think Donna's going to be the one actually looking for him. I think it's going to be Harvey. Martin Morales is asking, has Rashomon made any comments after his exit? I have not seen any comments. I don't think he has. I think he wants to just get as far away from this case as possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Judge Everett watched me, but anyway, I was trying to help him out if he did. And nobody's going to appeal his ruling that threw all these attorneys out of the courtroom, got him bounced off the case. All right, now I'm able to get some movement here. Sure as world, you're saying, how long can this drag on? What if it's a year before Donna Adelson actually hires an attorney? Is this possible? So I mean, the state attorneys will not arrest Wendy Adelson until she testifies. Could this be years? I don't think it's going to drag on that long. I think if they'll give a reasonable amount of time, and if she doesn't have a lawyer make an appearance, then they're going to start having more hearings, trying to see where she's at, and they may just go ahead and set a trial date. And maybe they're going to think that she's just being too picky about it and is not really trying to find a lawyer. So, yeah, Ocean Grove Jail is very loud. There's a lot of doors, metal doors, heavy metal doors slamming and stuff like that. It's not a fun place to be. I've visited many clients in those kind of facilities over the years. You're always very glad when you get out of there and you got some fresh air. Okay, let's see. New Jersey Beach lover is saying, do inmates have access to computers? If so, can't Donna just Google murder attorneys? Yeah, but like I say, sending out emails and stuff like that is not the best way to do it. You want to be able to talk to a lawyer, call up their firm, talk to somebody live on the phone. That's what I think Harvey's doing. All right. Okay. I'm not going to say your name properly. Apologize in advance. Miriam, you're saying, I know you started your channel because you felt compelled to help get justice for Dan and all the Markells with my brother's strong urging. Do you ever see yourself covering other cases? Yeah, I'm looking at covering the Sarah Boone case. That's starting up next week. She's the one that locked her significant other in a suitcase and then went upstairs and went to sleep and left him there to suffocate and die in that suitcase. So bizarre facts. We have an interview, and there's also some videotape of her actually having conversations with this significant other in the suitcase, and he's begging to get out of there, and she's basically giving all the reasons why he should not be let out. So it's a cruel, harsh way to die. And in any event, she just also turned down a plea agreement the other day where she could have got out in less than 6 years. So that was pretty shocking, but I know she's gone through a number of attorneys. And so I want to talk about some of those issues as well. And I also see some problems with that case and its standing and what some of the rulings are from the court. I think those are also problematic on appeal as well. So I think that some of these high profile cases, some things just aren't being done to standard, and corners being cut, and I don't know what some of these prosecutors are doing, but in any event, hopefully they get things on track, because I don't like to see cases get busted on appeal because they're not done right at the trial level. I don't deal with appellate work. I only deal with it at the trial level, and I like to fix at that level because you have a lot better odds of getting justice there than having a trial attorney mess it up, and then you got to try to undo it on appeal. So it's better get it done at the trial level any day in my book. Right now, I'm trying to move the mouse again. So yeah, because this thing could take a while. I mean, Donna hires a lawyer. We go through this whole thing about the motions again. Think how boring it's going to be for the next year or two on the Donna Adelson case, and they're just starting over. Everything's starting over because they didn't get rid of the conflicted counsel. Okay, Giovanni is asking if I know where Charlie's lawyer is located. If Tally then doesn't see him in person. Well, I've heard that Charlie's still there locally in the Leon County Jail as of a few days ago, anyway. So I don't know where he's at right now. He might still be there. It may take a while to get him on that Con Air and transfer back to South Dakota. And so we'll see what happens. But I bet you his attorney there, his appellate attorney, is going to be seeing him a number of times, taking advantage of the fact that he's in town. But like I say, once he files this appeal on the 18th or before, we'll have some greater clarity on how he's targeting Rashbaum for ineffective assistance. Mary Patterson, you're asking if in the meantime, do I think Wendy or Harvey will be charged? That's a good question. I'm just I'm just sort of like shaking my head, just not having a lot of faith in what's going on there in Tallahassee. So I'll just leave it at that. You've heard my other comments in the last couple of podcasts, live streams, whatever you call them. Crystal Blue, you're asking, can you explain what the terminology wall is and was, and if it was or was not used and why? Not sure what you mean by terminology wall. Are you talking about the ethical wall that they supposedly thought they could have with Rashbaum and Alex Morris so that Alex could stay on the case? I said on my live streams that there's no way that would fly in any of these states I'm licensed in. So for some reason they thought that would work there, and other YouTube commenters thought that would work. But that's why I said, no, it's not going to work. Everybody's conflicted on the case. Judge needs to get rid of them all, and so that's why it's great to see the judge finally do that. Renee Mason, the time frame for the appeal on Charlie's case, I've not looked any kind of statistics on how long it takes for the appellate courts in Florida rule, but normally you're talking of like at least a year and a half for those kind of things to work their way through the system. Let's see here. Jerry Griffin, you're asking, have I received any flack from your impassioned stance on Jack Campbell? I've not heard from them at all. And you guys have been very supportive, and all I've received for the most part is favorable reviews from folks that feel like I do. And I think it's pretty much universal, the frustration. So any flack per se, no. I think he's an attorney that said I'd be a little bit easier, go a little bit easier on fellow attorneys and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just spoke my mind, and I'll leave it at that. And I think any attorneys, I don't think any attorney is going to disagree with me that's done a lot of criminal law. My points I'm raising about how bizarre this case has been for the lawyers involved in it and the court as well. Having trouble moving around. I saw somebody had a question about Crystal Rogers. I'm also looking at that case as well as something to cover. That's a really bizarre case up in Kentucky. I know John's been on there, did some recon, and got some additional points of contact there, and I'm getting fed different court filing documents by the clerk of court there already. So I'm not up to speed on that case yet, but that's something I will anticipate covering down in the future as well. Pat Brown, you're asking, is Wendy in Austin? I don't think so. Latest I hear is that she's not there. She never left the Miami area. Lon, you're asking if there's so many phone calls from prison showing Charlie and Donna working together with Dan. How can that be argued now as ineffective? Well, I'm not going to get into the details of what the lawyer for Charlie on appeal is going to do, but there's enough information out there that they could use to try to say that the conflict was so pervasive and overwhelming that it was never cured, and it basically corrupted the judicial process here. And if you look at the ruling from Judge Rashwan, he basically said Rashwan was unethical representing Donna. So the fact that he's now, he was also the attorney on Charlie's case, I think he would also think that at the time as well. So I think if you got unethical behavior on two different murder cases, there's a good chance you're going to get the first one bounced as well. So I think that listening to the records, stuff like that, I don't think the appellate attorney is going to go down that road, but they got enough other stuff to work with. Sylvia Ingram, you're asking, do I think Georgia played dumb because she was confident she would beat Rashbaum? I do think that's played in some of it, that they thought that Rashbaum was an easy guy to go against, and that they knew how everything he did last go round, and so why not have a predictable guy? And he got the waivers and all that kind of stuff, but yet they didn't ask to see him. They didn't inquire as to, like, wait a minute, if we need to call Charlie as a witness, how is this going to be a conflict? Even if Charlie's not called as a witness, just like I've been saying all along, how do you have a conversation on the full gamut of how to represent somebody from pleading guilty to going full-blown knockdown, drag-out jury trial? You got to talk to your client about all those things. And if you have a conflicted counsel, nobody asked that question in the court. The judge didn't ask it. The prosecution didn't ask it. So anyway, that's just so, elementary. Sandy's asking, would I take the case for $1 million? I could get Wade's into Florida and take a case like this. And I would just have to have local counsel, get permission by the court, and it'd be something that, I'd have to look at the facts, decide on a case if I want to join it. If you're talking about this case with Donna Adelson, no matter how much I'm wanting justice for Markel's, I think I've been too outspoken on it. But let's just say I wasn't covering this case at all on this channel. Would I take somebody like Donna's case for $1 million? I would take it, but what I would do is not take it unless she's willing to plead guilty on it. I initially come on the case. We could talk about, going contestant and all that kind of stuff. I'd charge a fee for that. But once I saw all the evidence, stuff like that, I'd have a serious conversation, and I'd tell my client, there's no point in going to trial. You're going to get absolutely convicted in a speedy fashion. So there's no point in trying to bamboozle a jury and trying to do some kind of a smoke and mirrors type defense, because it's not going to fly. And so, yeah. And then what happens if you wind up pleading somebody out? Obviously, taking $1 million just to plead somebody out would be an exorbitant, excessive fee. So you'd be giving most of that back. So in the end, the $1 million is not really something you'd ever see, unless you just, unless you talk to Don and said, "Hey, you got a great case. Why don't we fight this thing? I'm pretty sure, or I guarantee you, we'll win this thing if we go to a jury." So if you got lawyers that do that kind of stuff, they take the $1 million and then they go to trial and lose. Then then they can always blame the client. They put the client on the stand. They can point the finger at the client and say, "You're the reason we lost because you did such a terrible job on the witness stand." So that's how I look at that. Renita, you're asking if Wendy's arrested, can she plead the fifth and not testify at all in Donna's trial? Is that correct? Well, there's a Fifth Amendment piercing statute in Florida that if you're called by a prosecutor via a subpoena, that you have to cooperate and answer all their questions, and whatever you say can and not will be used against you in any other proceedings as long as you tell the truth. And if you don't tell the truth, then that immunity protection for anything you say cannot be used derivatively as well. In other words, if you give them some information that clues them in on a lead to follow up on, they can't use that lead, that connection there to get the derivative evidence, the down trace evidence to use against you. So that's why if she did refuse to plead the fifth, then the judge could have her arrested right there on the spot and put her in jail until she cooperates. But if the trial's already proceeding, then he could sentence her to 6 months or something like that for contempt of court. Okay, let's see here. Baltimore lady saying, "Isn't a problem that Rashomon could have shared confidential information from Charlie with Donna that could be used against Charlie's cross? Donna still knows that, and she can now tell her new attorney." Let's see. So you're saying that Rashomon could have shared info from Charlie with Donna, and Donna could use that. Yeah, that's an interesting point. And that's something that, you could still have some lingering effects from the conflict, but that's not something I don't think the courts are going to be able to sort out and then prevent her from going to trial for that. So in the end, I think it's going to not be something that gets us jammed up from an ethical standpoint where lawyers can't jump on the case. KP Kelly's asking, can Charlie change his defense story, lose the ridiculous extortion on a retrial? Hope he's stuck with it. Yeah, he's stuck with it. Otherwise, if he gives a different story, I mean, you can't sit there and have as a lawyer just bring your client in like Charles and say, "Hey, tell me what happened," and the client says in your first trial, "Hey, this is what happened. We basically got robbed on an installment plan," and then you get it busted on appeal due to conflicted counsel, and then you come up with a different lawyer and say, "Hey, tell me what your story is," and Charlie can make up a whole new story, and that other one doesn't still stay with him. No, it stays with him because that's what he testified to. Even if it got reversed on appeal, there's going to be a transcript of everything he said. It's already been part of the appellate record, is the transcript of the entire trial. So no, he's not going to be able. He's boxed in. So, and he's pretty much going to have to testify again. So he's pretty much locked in. He's pretty much guaranteed cooked again. It's just a matter of, in his mind, maybe they're hoping for a hung jury or something ridiculous like that. It's not going to happen. He's not going to get a hung jury on the retrial if that happens. Barley Hops, you're asking if somebody knows that they're going to plead, does the client put that in writing to get less of a cost for a lawyer, your fee? Does the client put that in writing to get less of a cost? I think automatically when any and all defense attorneys are going to have a structure system worked out, whereas, if you plead guilty, it's going to be this rate, either hour or flat fee. If you're going contested, then it's going to be the same kind of thing, different flat fee or different hourly rate. So, and different retainers and all that kind of stuff. So it all depends on what the client is indicating they want to do. And if it's just to plead guilty, then you can always say, well, if you change your mind, then this is what you're looking at. to go contest it. So that's how that works. Well, let's see here. Joe Running, you're saying you heard an attorney on YouTube saying no waiver means no waiver. So all this about a verbal waiver is actually meaningless and a way to save face. I would say this is what I've been saying all along. This is like really a constitutional type conflict. You cannot consent and waive somebody having a constitutional magnitude type of conflict of interest. So that's why it doesn't matter whether there's a written waiver or not. It's just that profound and that serious of a conflict that it would have gotten busted on appeal. So it doesn't. Normally a waiver, if it's not in writing, it's really a hard thing to enforce. So I say it all the time, especially in the military. If something isn't in writing, it didn't happen. So it's sort of the same thing for a written waiver. It's just a client's word against attorney. Normally an attorney would be considered more credible on that issue, but you don't want to leave that to a debate between yourself and your client. You always want to get that in writing. So it would just really show some reckless disregard of normal documentation procedures you need to have as a lawyer. SBA, you're saying I said bringing a conflict was unacceptable. He thought the judge should not allow. Yeah, I was really shocked. I just thought this thing is so bizarre. I was like, wow, I have never seen anything that bizarre. Broke Stacker, you're asking from the budget perspective, is there any way without cooperation that Donna Adelson might offer Charlie a deal to prevent retrial? The DA, I'm sorry, you meant the state attorney's office might offer Charlie a deal to prevent a retrial, like 30 to life. There's always a chance if it gets busted that they could, start from scratch and on what approach they want to take, what kind of deals they want to offer. So it's anything goes at that point. Sunflower Lily, this is New York City behind me. You can see the One World Trade Center behind me over the shoulder right here. That's right there. And okay, I guess you guys answered that already. Thanks for you guys supporting the case. And it's just very a lot of twists and turns and just a lot of shocking events, right? Janie Gardner, you're asking, is Rashomon allowed to visit Donna just as a friend, not as a lawyer? No, you're not supposed to go there just as a friend. If you're going there, you need to be going in as a lawyer. Even though he's a lawyer, I think he's going to be doing everything he can to never have any contact with Donna or just have. And I think I heard that he talked to her just the first couple of days after he withdrew, and then after that, he's not been seen or heard from since. Dreamscape, you're asking the Marcus reply. Marcus is with the first attorney for Charlie. David Oscar Marcus is his name. You're asking his reply to the deposition request was quite curt. Do you think he properly advised Charlie about his case and suggested a plea? That's why Charlie switched to Rashbaum, who misrepresented chances. That's always a possibility. If he could have just set the price too high for a retainer, that could have been one of the main reasons. But it also could have been the fact that he said, "Hey, look, you don't have much of a case." But if he didn't really go into the evidence at that point, he's probably not able to say that he's going to suggest a plea. Because, like I say, if you got a client facing murder charges and they got a lot of money, if the client walks in and you start talking about a plea bargain, they're going to walk right back out. They want to hear you say that you're going to fight like a tiger for them, and you're going to do knockdown, drag out against the prosecution. And some attorneys go so far as to say they guarantee a win of the case and stuff like that, which is not right unless you really can back that up. But usually most things you cannot guarantee as an attorney. You just guarantee your best efforts based on your experience. Snake Hip 76, you're saying, could she eventually say she wants to represent herself? Yeah, she could. That'd be something, wouldn't it? That'd be something to see. Donna representing herself in a murder trial. I sort of covered this already last time or two, Jersey Jew, but you're asking what are the chances Donna will be able to get the payment she made from back? Well, I think Rashman's going to be in the position where he's saying, well, I was all ready to go for trial. I did 95% of the work. I just had to do the trial, so I need to keep all the rest of that. And I think Donna's, through an attorney, is going to say, well, you were conflicted the whole time. You didn't properly advise her, and we want all the money back. So I think that's what's going to be going on. There might be a lawsuit over that at some point here in the near future. Okay, Gibby's mom is saying, would some lawyers be reaching out to the Adelsons trying to get their business? Well, lawyers are not supposed to be hounding down people looking for business and stuff like that. So most attorneys are not going to be doing something like that. They wait for the clients to come to them instead of doing it the other way around. So there could be some reaching out, but generally that's something that's frowned upon by the state bar. Sally Williams, as of late, I've become very disenchanted, with the prosecution. How do you feel? I think I've said enough on that the last couple of podcasts, so I don't want to keep going down that road. Just look at my last couple live streams. You'll see where I stand on that. Okay, Nap Connoisseur, you're asking why did they offer Sarah Boone such a good deal when they had literal video evidence? I can talk about that one of my upcoming live streams about Sarah Boone. So when I do my live stream and talk about Sarah Boone, I will address that, okay? All right, now my computer's working again. Here I can scroll. Janet Garney saying, Carl, when is your best guess on when Donna will find a replacement for Rashbaum? I think it's going to be probably at least another month. So that puts us out to end of November. And I think once an attorney makes an appearance, they may move up a sooner court date. But if there's not an appearance made in another week or two, you think the judge will set a quick hearing, just find out what she's doing to get an attorney and what the status is. Because letting her stay in limbo till December 10th does not make any sense to me. If I was a judge and I want to move my docket and get this case off my docket, I'm supposed to have a trial, and next thing you know, it gets blown up, and now I got to do all these motions all over again if she doesn't plead out. So yeah, what a hot mess. Renee Mason, what can a judge do if a defendant refuses to hire an attorney? Well, then they pretty much are going to declaring themselves to represent themselves. So you can't just clog up the court system by saying, "I'll hire one," and you reject all lawyers that are offered for you if you're having court-appointed lawyers or public defenders. So this cannot be strung out forever. I'm just surprised they string it out this far as December 10th. Kendall B., you're saying is the fact that Wendy's so silent, a testament to her direct role and guilt in the murder of Dan Merkel. The optics of her hiding and silence are terrible. Well, she's pretty much ghosted. All of the family members have been arrested and charged with this. So I would say that it's going to be something that she's trying to follow her attorney's advice on, to stay away from the any contact with your mom, especially in Charlie, because they're pretty much going to be saying stuff that could get you roped in and could be used against you at trial. So. Emily, yes, you're asking, shouldn't Judge ever have known about an act on a conflict problem a long time ago? Yeah, he should have. He should have, and he didn't. And at least he finally got that addressed. And he dealt with it the right way, which is you get rid of all three. I'm trying to scroll back up since my arrow keys are now working again. Lynn, how hard is it to get licensed in various states? Well, it all depends on which state you're trying to go to. Some states, like Florida, you cannot waive in there. If you're licensed in another state, you have to actually sit for the bar, do that for a couple days, and you also have to take a separate ethics exam for it. That's a 2-hour, 100-question multiple choice. And the one that's for the actual main portion of the bar, that's going to be a combination of multiple choice and essay. And so I think it's like, what is it nowadays, about 2.5 days or something like that. So in any event, it's plus it costs you money. They got to do a background check, and you have to be graduate of an ABA approved law school for most states except I believe California and maybe one other, like Wisconsin. And you're asking, how is Donna supposed to get a fair trial when she's not in a position to find a new lawyer and no one is there to help her find one? No Wendy, no Charlie, and hubby's too old. Well, I think she's going to have, Harvey's not too old, and I think she's going to be able to find one. It's just, I think she's trying to have an attorney that's going to gel with her good and be able to see eye to eye with her. It's going to be a hard thing to do for any attorney. It's not going to be really easy dealing with Donna, especially now that she's been in there 10 months and nothing to show for it. You're starting from day one all over again. Lynn, yeah, Wendy could be arrested for perjury tomorrow. Absolutely. Thanks, Snake Hips. Don't plan on getting licensed in Florida. Thanks, Wild Irish Rose. Glad we got out of there as the hurricane was hitting. Yeah, my understanding is Wendy's not moved to Texas yet, so some of the questions about Wendy in Texas, apparently that's not accurate. You're asking, no, not showing it. Hold on. What's showing? Do you think Charlie's new defense attorney told him the truth about his defense theory that was that bad, and that's why Charlie did not sign the waiver? I don't know if he wanted the fact that his defense theory was that bad or not. Somebody like me would have, but I don't know. It depends how direct and brutally honest the defense lawyer wants to be, the appellate lawyer wants to be with his client. So it's hard to say, but I guarantee you, part of the thing he said is, like, if you testify in your mom's case, I guarantee you, if you didn't get, any chance you have a retrial, they're going to use that as extremely damning evidence against you. And your testimony is absolutely trust about you on stand. Okay, I'm gonna we'll go to about. I'm gonna jump off earlier tonight. We're gonna go to another 6 minutes here or so. Dee Dee, you're asking if Judge Wheeler was still in Donna's trial, we probably wouldn't be having these problems. You think? I don't know, because even the state's attorneys didn't get this right. I don't know about Judge Wheeler, so doesn't seem to be much of something they follow in Tallahassee. That wasn't a question. Sorry, I accidentally hit that. Veronica, you're asking, Donna can get public for real. I'm sure Dan will hook her up with an attorney. I don't think Dan should be involved in how I select an attorney. Okay, let's. Hey, Mary Ratcliffe, you're asking, wouldn't Donna have to be honest with her attorney and tell them that she was involved in the plot to hire the hitman? No, because that's not something that the with the new attorney and stuff like that. It all depends on what the personal preference is for the attorney of how soon they want to have those discussions. A lot of times, attorneys don't really want to know if their client's guilty or not, and if they want to plead guilty or not necessarily right away. They first want to develop some kind of rapport with the client, get some kind of understanding of the case. And like, for example, what I do when I have a serious case is I get my client in there and they come to my office and I put them to work right away. I said, I need to know everything about you, your whole life history. I need to know every kind of detail that you can tell me that impacted who you are today as a person. And I want you to basically write a book about yourself. So I know everything about you. I don't want to have any surprises come up. And I got to know how your thought process works. So anything you think that could help me understand your psychological makeup, because I got to basically do that kind of assessment of a client to best represent them. And so, and really it makes the client feel like, hey, I'm putting them to work. They came in the office, want to see what I'm going to do. Why tell them what I'm going to do? I tell them what the roles are for them and me. There's a form they got to fill out and note that we discussed that. And for example, who has the right to plead guilty or go to trial? That's a client. Who makes a decision on whether to testify or not? That's a client. All the tactical and strategic decisions in the courtroom and before you get to court are done by the attorney. So the client only has a few main choices to make, and which kind of plea charges you want to go for. Those are kind of things that the ultimately is decided by the client. But in any event, I necessarily get in there and right away say, tell me if you did it and tell me the truth. Because what happens is the client doesn't really trust you. They think you're just there to twist your arm to plead guilty, and you will not have a good relationship with them. So you got to build a little bit of rapport first. Tell them their side of the story. You get their detailed side of the story, and I'm talking about like a second by second account. So I make them write quite a lot, and that way I have it down pat. And anyway, that's what I can tell you in a nutshell there. Michelle Bell is saying the only question was Rashbaum complicit? Come on, man. So I would say that, which I've said before, it's like I just think that he had probably didn't have a clue to what was going on, the ramifications. So I think he wanted to not be conflicted. So I think he probably subconsciously talked to the right people that didn't know what was going on. And if you got the prosecutor that doesn't know what's going on, the judge doesn't know what's going on, it's hard to say that Rashbaum really knew what was going on. He was complicit in knowing how to get the case thrown. And after all, I mean, his client sat there for 10 months, basically because of Rashbaum. So I mean, normally defense counsel are there to help get their client out of jail. Rashbaum not only kept her in jail for the last 10 months with no benefit, but he also has had her arrested by virtue of saying you might want to flee the country. or what we heard on that mic situation with Donna talking. So the rush fund, in that sense, he's done a lot of good things for Justice for Mark Hills. SGP 63 saying, will I be on the Peter Tragos Lawyer Show podcast to discuss the Boone case? No, I would not go on his channel because I've only seen a few minutes of him, but he's not a criminal law lawyer, so I would not discuss something that doesn't practice actual criminal law. So that's one of the reasons I was to be talked into this by people like him and some others that I've seen on other channels that you guys are very familiar with. So look at this, if somebody doesn't practice criminal law, it never has, then I pretty much do not follow them. Even if they did, I do not have time to follow them. But especially if they don't practice criminal law. All right, looking ahead here. No, okay. I'm trying to pick Genomi's question. Sorry, it's not coming up. There we go. Or a delayed reaction there. All right, Genomi woman is asking, how is guilt by association applied in such instances? Losing contact with one's family out of fear of appearing guilty is quite harsh, especially if someone is innocent. Wendy, could you please elaborate? Everything Wendy is doing, even if she's following her attorney's advice, I think it does, like you're saying, her association and disassociation from her family look like she does have something to hide. And I mean, she doesn't want to see her mother and stuff like that. Of course, her attorney will say, well, she didn't see her mother because maybe it was implicit in the murder. But I think that no matter how you slice this and dice, it turns out that this is a Southern Florida Adelson conspiracy to exterminate Dan Markell out of the lives of those Adelsons, as well as the poor boys that had to suffer through the loss of their dad at such a young age. So I think that, I'm sorry. I think that, hopefully my mic is better now. Somebody said I sound muffled. I apologize. Hopefully I sound a little bit better now. Okay. All right, I'm trying to move my mouse here. Sorry about that. I'll go for one last question. All right, one last question here. Do you think Wendy's arrest is continuing on? I sure hope not. It's been long overdue, and I think that this is something that is just beyond belief. It doesn't make any sense, and see what is going to go on there at the Tallahassee courthouse. It's very much the most bizarre case you can probably find on true crime these days, because you got so many players doing so many things that are just really head scratchers, just jaw dropping wild, crazy stuff going on. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I just I wasn't able to jump on Wi-Fi. I'm just using a hotspot on my phone right now. So in any event, thanks for your support for Justice Markel's. Like I say, I'll be jumping back on and talk about the Sarah Boone case. So if you guys want to start looking at the some of the details of that Sarah Boone case, I'll be doing the same thing as well. And then I'll jump back on here and I can tell you what I think is going on and why I'm concerned that there's already some issues of error being played out. So with that being said, you all have a safe weekend, and we'll see you all down the road here soon. Have a good night.